We are live. We seem to be, anyway.
Yeah,
Yep,
you're live.
we are live. And let me
George
put.
Purple. Nice.
What's up?
Your T-shirt, nice.
Yeah, it was from. That's where I got to get some what you call it, some long term storytelling between Darby and Sammy, on their action figures. All right, Miss Ace in the house. What's up? Let me throw this out there for the rest of the sphere, the Twitter sphere.
I'm just
And
warning
we
people. I
might
was like, "How's everyone going?" It's like, just wait for it.
and
We arrive.
we might have somebody else joining us. He's kind of busy. Um, so so we might get
Yeah.
interrupted in the middle of all this crazy this week.
I am letting the Podcast Wrestling Federation know we live.
All right, and
Hmm.
and now Facebook knows as well. And hello everyone, and welcome to this special Friday edition of the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show. I am the Athletic Geek, joined on the other end of the tin cannon string at this time by Easy.
Greetings from the Cleveland Street Asylum.
The
You'll
Cleveland
know
Street.
why.
Yes, so, and we also might have another guest. He was kind of
Hmm.
taking care of some stuff, but he might be joining the call a little bit later on. So, we'll see if that happens. It's kind of a, when we're off the normal game, everything's kind of a trial by fire. But if you've never seen this show before, this is the Just Us Marks Wrestling Recap Show. Uh, Met this guy, Easy, at All In. Met some of the other people at All In. Watched wrestling throughout school and all my life for about nearly 15, 16 years with some of the other folks that are on this show. And we love wrestling. We love sharing our love of pro wrestling with each and every one of you out there. However, just like each and every one of you out there, we are just wrestling fans. We avoid insider terms because at the end of the day, we are not insiders. We are not wrestlers. We are just marks. And first, we're going to start with Dynamite. For the first time in history, I've not been looking forward to talking about Dynamite. Because there's nothing to talk
Like I
about.
said, I thought it was a good show. Just again, obviously not been much excitement, but it's not bad.
It's not bad, but it is like, it is the equivalent of like
It
Heat.
happened.
It was Sunday Night Heat. Like, it was good. It was like good Sunday Night Heat. It was like 1999 Sunday Night Heat where, some stuff happened on Sunday Night Heat. But at the end of the day, it was like Sunday Night Heat.
I was too young
The
to remember what wrestling was back then, except for Mick Foley. That was it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Kurt Angle.
once upon a time,
Thanks for
Sunday Night Heat had like stuff going on it, and stuff would happen on Sunday Night Heat. And then SmackDown came along, and then Heat was just kind of like a recap show with a few mid carders, and then you'd get like maybe one like main event guy. Like it'd be a bunch of like lower card guys, but then like at the end of it, it's like, oh shucks, RVD's gonna wrestle Stevie Richards. How about that? Like that's pretty much.
Sunday Night Heat was like the not necessarily like the preliminary show, but just like the build up show to a pay per view. I thought that's what Heat was.
They would do that on pay per view nights, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on the nights that,
I remember from like the old SmackDown versus Raw GM mode games.
yeah, that was what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to say that. Like AEW was like,
Yeah, and there was also Velocity.
yeah, AEW was like this week was like a McDouble. Like, yeah, sometimes it hits the spot, but overall, it's like you can live without it. But as far as just my overall thoughts on Dynamite this week, I thought that the MMA match was awful. That needs to be held accountable for. That sucked. That sucked. If WWE put that on, we would be here going, "Oh, that's trash. What the fuck's the stupid idea from bad creative WWE?" But when AEW does it, we're like, "Ah, gee golly gee willikers. Oh, they tried something. Give them a golf clap for trying." No, that was trash. That sucked. That sucked.
But again, I didn't mind it. It wasn't my favorite match of the night, but again, I just say it happens.
It sucked. Like we would not. But you got to understand. Like if they tried that on Raw, we would be here LOLing at WWE and talking about how stupid they are. Like we gotta hold AEW to the same standard.
They did a sumo match at WrestleMania one time.
Yeah, and that sucked. Much like this MMA match. Like just
obviously, like you do it once and then that's it. I think don't do this again.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna do anything, I'm not even saying do something. Never do just a straight up MMA fight again. But like, look at Lockdown 08 with Joe and Kurt Angle, where they had like a little bit more of a MMA based match. Yeah, and
I just looking at the chats now. It's like AEW is the equivalent of a hamburger. SmackDown before it was steak with mashed potatoes.
Yes, SmackDown definitely was the better. Like, I mean, I get it. AEW has been phoning it in, but okay. And Wardlow was part of the reason why this match sucked. I hate to say, because he does not know how to, kind of going back to the Smojo thing.
What to do in MMA?
He didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to work the style of match, which. I mean, I'm not gonna completely get on his case for that, but it's like, if you're gonna do something like this, at least kind of clue the guy in on, be like, hey, in MMA we don't take breaks to taunt, like, and play to the crowd, like, just it was shit.
And
this was such shit,
like wondering,
and not good shit, pal.
I was even wondering, it's like, so we have a real fight or is this a stage fight? Because MMA, it's completely unscripted, as we all know.
I knew it was staged all along. Like there was nothing.
I knew Hager was gonna win this because it's Jake Hager. You really want him to lose an official MMA fight on a wrestling show?
Well, it's not an official MMA fight. It was a work. Like there was nothing. There was nothing about this MMA fight that made me think like, oh, geez, this is they're going at it. This is them actually finding out who's a tough guy. It's like it was a poorly worked MMA fight, and I will. The only benefit of the doubt I will give them for this is this was during the whole like, we know we're on a bad time slot and we don't have a crowd, so fuck it. It was literally in their fuck it kind of mode. And to me, it was the embodiment of their fuck it kind of mode, but it was just this was...
And also, bravo to WWE for ending 3 minutes early so people can change the channel. Like, really, guys? I was literally looking at the clock. That Hell in a Cell match ends, and it's like 9:57. It's like, wow, guys. Now I'm going to take a whole 3 minutes to change my channels to TNT. I feel like this might take me 3 minutes or literally 2 seconds.
Well, okay, you can say that, but that Hell in a Cell match was better than everything. That was better than everything on Dynamite this week. Everything.
Shit, wait. Do we have to talk Hell in a Cell because that did happen?
Hell in a Cell it wasn't a bad show. I was gonna ask, are you still gonna do your lemon juice? There was a DQ.
No, because, and here's the technicality, that match was not Hell in a Cell. I said if any Hell in a Cell match ends in a disqualification, then I was going to drink a quarter cup of lime juice. So I'm actually happy that the Ripley Charlotte match didn't go into a Hell in a Cell match. Just like I said last week, why is there no women's match in Hell in a Cell?
And that was the match that should have been in Hell in a Cell, to be honest, because they have enough history.
I said that too.
Yeah. So maybe you saved yourself, but no, I actually I'm not gonna sit here and say it wasn't on a double or nothing level, by any stretch of the imagination, but Hell in a Cell was not for something that you get with your Peacock subscription. It wasn't a bad show. both SmackDown and Hell in a Cell were not bad. Like I get what you're saying about ending 3 minutes early. You could look at
Yeah,
that. You could look at that one of two ways. You could
They
look
could
at
have
it either.
ended. They could have ended at like 10:05, so that way people could still be tuned in to SmackDown, and then all of a sudden, oh no, we gotta go to AEW. This is gonna mess up the ratings. Isn't that what like WCW did? They went on
but
the air
I
like
said,
5 minutes before Raw.
there's two ways of looking at that. You can look at that as either A, wow, has Vince lost his competitive edge, or you could look at it as B, Vince that's how little he thinks of 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. Dynamite is. Who gives a shit? Our show, yeah, but yeah, definitely. Unpopular opinion, at least among my followers. It's an unpopular opinion, but SmackDown was significantly better.
But yeah, so I was saying, like, they definitely pissed off USA for pulling that match to SmackDown, and then USA getting revenge by having a Hell in a Cell match between Kofi and Lashley. It's like, cool. Did I care? No, because it's Raw. No one does.
I mean, I care about Kofi and Lashley. I did catch part. I caught part of that match because I like
I
those
care
people,
about the wrestlers. I just could care less about who they work for, because they got so much talent in them that they really need something better. I don't care if they go to AEW or Impact or New Japan. Just they deserve better.
They deserve better, but here's the thing, and we had this discussion in our private group chat. Mm-hmm. Nobody told any of those people sign with WWE. No one put a gun to their head and said, "Sign on the dotted line, pal." They all made the decision that, hey, we want the potential that is with the WWE, the potential money, the potential fame, the potential WrestleMania moments, the championship wins, the perks that come to WWE, the potential to have those means more to us than staying with the independents, going to New Japan, or going to AEW. Most of those talents on the roster made that decision. You have some people that are looking to leave because they aren't happy, and that's fine. But it's like, so many talent go like, "Oh, this is so terrible. This is so terrible. Here's your new contract." Okay. I mean, I feel bad they have to work for something shitty, but at the end of the day, like at this point in time, they could go somewhere else, potentially. And for whatever reason, be it their own dreams, desires, money, something else they have on the table, or I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for any of the talent that's there, but nobody on that roster, had to sign. And, granted, now WWE's doing a lot. They're either like releasing you too early, or they're like, trying to re-sign you for a ridiculous
amount. We
don't
know what to do with them.
Yeah, for the sake of just don't leave.
Oh, and then those bullshit like don't compete clause, which, well, I get that if it's been like a month or two, but it's like just let them have a life instead of going on a full-on rant saying, "Hey, you guys can't do Twitch anymore."
Yeah,
that was the biggest stupidity ever.
That is stupid, and I agree. I do not enjoy the WWE product, but I'm also, everybody has their reason to stay with the WWE. I mean, like, and I love New Japan as much as the next guy, even though I'm kind of not real, past couple years in New Japan's not been their best. But look at how quickly AJ went to WWE. Like, you don't get the money that everybody thinks you do in New Japan. You make respectable money, but you don't make WWE money there. Is that Nick?
Yes.
Hey everybody! Joining the chat is OG Nick. Everybody give OG Nick a hand. All
I give you
right.
an orange. I give you an Orange Cassidy thumb up.
Okay.
Fine.
But
Like I said, I'm just waiting for just go completely Hulk beast mode. You're just waiting for it.
okay, well,
But
yeah,
anyways, at least sticking with Dynamite, like I said, it was an okay show. I'll give it that. There was stuff that just
it was
wasn't
a
there.
decent it was the equivalent of a 2-hour decent episode of Sunday Night Heat.
But at least thank God there's a Saturday Night Dynamite show.
Yes.
It's like finally, and it's live, no less.
That's gonna improve the everything significantly, and well, let's talk
We got
about that.
And then Wednesday, their last time at Daly's Place, which please let it be the last time for eternity.
What? Why? I like Daly's Place. It looks like a good place.
It too, but it's like, could they just not go to Jacksonville until maybe March?
I want to go to a show at Daly's Place. Like Daly's Place to me after this past year has turned into like it's like ECW Arena or something like that. Like or you want to like now you need to go there. Like you need to go to a Daly's Place show.
Well, at least obviously for like special events and such, or if they want to do another proper Brody Lee tribute show with a full crowd.
Right. So let's talk about the card coming up tomorrow, actually. Maybe if I can. Yeah, here it is.
I do want to say the promo between Santana Ortiz and FTR that was
good. The promos were good, but like just everything else left a lot to be desired. I just everything on there left a lot to be desired.
I know I missed, but I disagree. I think I liked that episode of Dynamite. It was by far the best they've had for their Friday night shows.
Agree or disagree?
Yeah.
I don't think so at all.
Friday
but
night shows that are holy shit.
I think there was some better matches on past episodes. Like this, the other
of the Friday ones.
Yes, like the live one, like that was better. Yeah, like there was just. In comparing the live episode to these taped ones without a crowd, like that was the best one. But I mean, if you're gonna, I can't pick one because I think they've all been pretty just.
Okay, all right. I found the card for tomorrow.
Okay, I've also found it.
There we go. So we got Dante Martin against Matt Sydal, Statlander against the Bunny, Hangman versus Hobbs, and then Omega versus Jungle Boy.
They've done a great job building up Jungle Boy.
Yeah,
they have. Yes, finally.
Yes. What about the women's tag team matches? They not doing that anymore?
I only just saw 4 matches.
Okay.
They'll probably have the tag team match. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's something else where it's kind of one of those. It's like I'm all for like a Brit Nyla feud's cool, but it's like again that feels like something the WWE would do. Would be like include Vicky and
yeah, I don't like that.
Rebel, not Reba.
Wait, no. That's gonna be on Wednesday. I think they moved it to Wednesday.
Oh, they moved that to a Wednesday.
With MJF and also with MJF against Sammy. That's Wednesday.
Now, definitely, I would like a definitely want to see MJF versus Sammy. They've deserves a like on the road crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah, is Wednesday gonna be? That's the last one at Daly's Place.
Yeah, so maybe like they're gonna leave Daly's Place go with a bang. So that's not bad one.
Daly's Place.
But Ray's in the house. What's up, Ray?
To the point where it's like, it just gets to the point where it's like, yes, I get it. AEW is owned by Jacksonville. Can we go to other cities?
But I mean, okay, now look at it from this perspective, though. I mean, during the whole COVID pandemic, even with like when they're allowed to bring limited fans in, would it be in their financial best interest to find a city that would be able to allow fans, pay the money to rent the building, pay the money to move the ring, pay the talent to, have different travel plans, and then hold the show there in front of maybe 1,000 people, depending on the restrictions at the time at the city, or stay at the building they own that they don't have to pay rent on, that they don't have to haul the ring to, that they don't have to do all the, like, I get what you're saying. Like, aesthetically, it got old, but I mean, that's probably a smarter idea to, hey, we could take this to Nashville, Tennessee, which is open,
Okay, but
and not have a lot of
obviously
fans. But
obviously with the pandemic that was different, but it's like now that like things are just slowly but surely reopening, I just like finally happy that we're gonna see AEW on the roads.
right.
So. Oh, and also I just found this a late breaking for tomorrow. Tully Blanchard is going to go face to face with none other than Conan on Dynamite tomorrow.
Conan.
Yeah, Conan.
Okay.
LAX.
Okay, Mike. Conan.
I know I said it wrong. But
Conan. That'll be cool. That will be cool because
yes,
the more Tully Blanchard that we can have on on the mic is the better. I'm all for some Tully Blanchard. So
do you think they'll have a Disco Inferno will put out a AEW's poor booking of Conan after this now?
Wait, I was literally watching a Watch Mojo video of like top 10 like worst WWE costumes, and what was it? Max Moon was in there. It's like, oh, it's Conan, and what the hell is?
Don't be knocking Max Moon. Max Moon was the shit.
Well, apparently he was number 3 on the worst costumes.
Yeah.
Or was it 4?
Fuck them and their bad opinions with
number 1
knocking my Max Moon.
Number 1 was Giant Gonzalez.
Okay, I can agree with that one.
Yeah, for sure.
I can agree with that one.
I know, because I'm like, what the hell is he wearing?
Now, here's some funny sidebar on Disco Inferno. Nick and I's personal friend JC shared a meme of the Dumb and Dumber of, you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world, and they change it to you want to see the most annoying wrestler in the world and put Disco Inferno underneath it. So, guy interviewed for the podcast, IQ Wrestler, and definitely go check out his channel. He makes phenomenal tribute videos. Tweeted something, and Disco Inferno tweeted back at him, "Have you ever worked?" And like, if you see IQ Wrestler, he's never worked. Like, just he hasn't worked. Like, it's not capable for him. And that like became his banner on Twitter. So like, I immediately saved this, and I'm like, brother, I thought of you when I saw his picture. So, shout out IQ Wrestler, and check him out. Check out his videos. But now is the time that I think our crowd came here to see. We've all waited patiently. So on Raw this week, Nikki Cross debuted. And she debuted a new gimmick. And I'm not sure I enjoy this gimmick, but for what I've heard, Nikki Cross came up with the idea of this gimmick, and she wants to do this gimmick. Someone, and his name rhymes with, I can't think of a clever way of saying his rhyme. His name rhymes with Please Me, feels that this is a bad, bad idea. So now, I'm going to drink out of my Indianapolis Motor Speedway water bottle and give the floor to Easy for his thoughts on this matter. Easy, if you please.
Okay, for the records, like, I got completely furious with this before I heard this was apparently her idea. Now, firstly, okay, Nikki, good for you. Okay, I get it. You want to do this completely incredible superhero. I mean, a lot of people are into Marvel and DC these days, but this is going to be a very popular opinion. And I'm putting an exception on Mighty Molly and the Hurricane. But superheroes don't work in wrestling. It is the laziest, stupidest gimmick that you could think of because you are supposed to be like a baddie wrestler, and especially considering this is Nikki Cross we're talking about, the former Twisted Sister of NXT, the former member of Sanity, going from the Psycho that we know and love, that literally scared Kyle O'Reilly one time, and out of nowhere came into a rivalry between Aleister Black and he who shall not be named with I know, and then almost looking like she wanted to completely eat Becky Lynch for breakfast. How the hell do you go from Psychopath to Wish.com's version of Mighty Molly? I'm sorry, but this is a stupid idea, and I'm not even going to quote it, but it's like, why?
Okay.
How many times do you need to mix up Nikki Cross and not even think what the hell to do with her? Maybe if she was supposed to reunite with Alexa Bliss, okay, awesome, that's great, but bring her back as the Twisted Sister. She could have been the crazy Sister Abigail at WrestleMania. That would have been more shocking than Alexa Bliss looking like a black-blooded character from Game of Thrones. Like, this is why I said from day one they booked the wrong Sister Abigail. Like, it should have been Nikki, and now you turn her into this, and I'm like, I don't even know what to say anymore. I cannot defend this.
Okay.
As said before, I respect all the wrestlers that they have in the WWE. What I don't respect is what the hell they're doing to them. More on the creative stuff later. But why?
Okay.
At one point, do you think we need to say, Nikki, what's your idea? I want to be a superhero. Done.
Okay.
I'm finished with that part.
Okay, I understand that. Now I'm going to flip it a little bit. I want to say this for the record. I want to say this for the record. I am not a fan of the gimmick. I'm not like, that's not how I've enjoyed Nikki Cross as well. But other than that, why should WWE, Nikki Cross, and this whole gimmick be considered like dead on arrival before we even let it, I mean, WWE doesn't have the best track record, don't get me wrong, but why should we just condemn it to hell right now when... Time out. When...
Be happy I don't drink, by the way.
When it wasn't that long ago, we saw one of the baddest motherfuckers in the world in wrestling debut in AEW as the best man, and he was playing video games, and everybody's like, oh, give it a shot. Why is it okay to give something that objectively did not work, was not good, was not the best use of a talent? Why should we have given that the chance, given it enough rope to hang itself, and then go, sucked, but pronounce this gimmick, which, again, was also the idea of the talent, as dead on arrival? I just would like to understand, this logic from just everybody, because, I like AEW more than the WWE as well, but I feel like as a fan base, if we kind of go too far like that, we lose credibility in our arguments of why AEW is a superior product to the WWE.
I think what mostly pissed me off is, like, if they were maybe doing promo work to say, like, hey, there's going to be a new superhero arriving, like, okay, maybe it takes some peek. But the fact that it was literally, here's Nikki, she's a superhero now. It's like the first Justice League before we got the Zack Snyder cut. It's like, what the shit is this? Like, if there was a build-up, maybe this would have sparked my interest a little more. But the fact that it was like right on the spot, unannounced, it's like, what did they do to you? What did they do to you? And again, this was before even like I think it was Killing Dane, or just before. It's way too late, and I can't remember who the hell Nikki's dating or married to right now. But him saying like this was Nikki's idea and all that, it's like, okay, I'll push back on my 1-star review of this, and I'll give it a 2.5. That's the most generous I'm going to give it. They could have built this up, maybe a few weeks. I mean, we had to suffer with the evolution. I cannot stand Eva Marie as not just a wrestler. I can't stand her as a person, honestly, because, well, A, I don't watch Total Divas, and B, I don't want to watch Total Divas.
Nick's been pretty quiet. Nick, what's your take on this whole situation?
I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit last time I was on the show in regards to Miro. As far as like, when do you draw the line? When do you let a wrestler, pitch their own ideas, and when do you not? And I think I said then, when it sucks is when you tell them no. So I'm just confounded by, you hear all these stories of people that leave WWE and they say like, oh, I pitched all these things to Vince, I pitched all these things to whoever, and they just ignored it or said, yeah, we'll see, or just straight up no. And then all these good ideas get told no, and then we have this one that gets a green light for some reason. Well, like, you listen to Aleister Black when all his pitches and stuff he was talking about, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, that's, who cares? And then they're like, oh yeah, superhero. Okay.
Good shit,
and
pal.
yeah, they tried to do this. You mean they did the superhero thing with Ricochet not that long ago, and that was lame. And I remember they wanted to do like Pac when he was Neville, when he first came up and was a good guy. They wanted him to be like a superhero. Yeah, like
Mistakes actually said that in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
We'll get to
I've
releases
never.
of the show. We'll get to releases here in a minute.
It's never really, the Hurricane worked, but like only in so that it was silly.
It worked because it was silly.
Yeah,
but it was still memorable. I remembered the Hurricane from the 2000s.
But they are also like, that's a thing that's already come and gone. Like, we had a funny superhero character, and it was done about as well as you could do it. Like, it's, if you look at it like that, it's just, are we gonna just do another? Which, I mean, I guess they did try to do another Gangrel with Kevin Thorne, just like another silly gimmick. Like, you can really only do some of those things once. Right. You can have one superhero every 30 years. You can have one vampire every 30 years. Like, they shot their superhero shot a few times over.
Can we bring back pirates then? We could see Paul Burchill as a pirate.
We did. We had Kairi Sane, right? She was a pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Pirates of the Caribbean was a thing, and they thought, hey, let's tackle on this idea. Let's make Paul Burchill freaking pirates. Because logic. I mean,
I like Pirate Paul. Like, Pirate Paul was better. Pirate Paul Burchill was better than Regal's bitch Burchill he was.
I'm not bitching on it. I actually thought it was fine. I like his entrance where he comes in from the rope. But yeah,
and Pirate Paul was definitely better than implied incest Paul Burchill with him and Katie Lee after they shit canned that gimmick. So
that was ahead of its time. I'm surprised they didn't try that again when Game of Thrones was hot.
Yeah, it's
who got him an only child?
So.
Can you say incest on YouTube? Are you gonna get in trouble?
I'm not monetized, but I mean.
Okay, well, there you go.
Not monetized, but I mean, who knows if I'll get banned or not?
Okay. Can we go on to number 2 of the rants?
Yes, please.
Oh my God! So now, if you thought Nikki Cross was a stupid idea from Bad Creative, well, I got another one for you. Probably this one is a total what the actual fuck are you doing? There has been rumors, or I don't know whether this was confirmed, but that our current NXT champion, Karrion Kross, he's going to get a call up to the main roster. Is it going to be with Monday Night Raw? Or is it going to be with SmackDown? Well, the answer is no. It's going to be on freaking Main Event with Shelton fucking Benjamin. Are you serious? What are you guys doing? Seriously? This is Karrion Kross. How long have you had this guy? Under a year now? And if you think that's bad, oh, it gets worse. There's plans
Wait, there's more!
Yep. There's plans that they want to split up Karrion and Scarlett. Firstly, why? Second, why? Third, why? I'm literally trying so hard not to scream right now. Why are you doing this? Like, what does WWE have against real life couples that are fighting in the WWE? Do they literally have some sort of vendetta because Rusev and Lana ruined it when they got engaged when they were supposed to be in a breakup love triangle? Why are you doing this? And Scarlett is like, look, I want to watch her fight at one point, but it's like, who's gonna do the entrance? Like, her singing the entrance is actually pretty sinister. That's the point of this gimmick. It works on NXT, but also you've had Karrion Kross for how long in NXT, and already you want to jump him to either the worst show on Monday nights or make him watchable on Fridays? Like, what are you guys thinking here? And he's NXT champion. You want him to vacate the title already after he won it, after he got injured? What exactly is their plan for Karrion Kross? Is it going to be having him as like the face of NXT, like what Samoa Joe and Finn Balor were? Or once you call them up, they're going to completely mid-card them to shit and then release them?
Again, valid arguments.
What's the plan here?
Nick, I'd like to hear your take before I kind of give mine, because I really don't have as much to say about this one. This is a rarity in the Just Us Marks world. I don't really have as much to say on this topic, but Nick, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, taking him to main event is.
Like, who watches main
I don't
events?
understand that.
Yeah, that's unexcusable right there.
I think I read somewhere that it was like to see how he does, but like he's on TV every week, so that doesn't really make any sense.
How he does? Watch Tuesday nights, people.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like bringing him up, I don't have a problem with him getting called up so soon because he's not, for me, really lighting a fire in NXT anyway. From the little that I did see of him before he was in NXT, when he was in Impact, I thought he was, I liked that more than I like this. Just not from a presentation point of view, but just, I don't know. He seemed to be I was more excited then, but to be honest, my excitement for everything NXT is just so low, and because they've just killed it in not a good way. Like with their call-ups, like they've basically like killed NXT for me, because the whole point is like you get behind these people and then they bring them up, and then you just can't wait to see how they're gonna set the world on fire, and it just hasn't happened in so long. What's the last really good one? Seth Rollins.
Like Eric, isn't able to be here this week, but like he's always like. That's one of his reasons he doesn't like NXT, is because he's like, well, what's the point? Because they're eventually just going to get called up and they're going to get ruined. To me, like, I take the more, not really optimistic, because I know they're going to get fucked when they get to the main roster approach, but I just kind of have the whole, like, well, see some good stuff while you can. Like enjoy this shit while you can, and then wait for them to fuck it up. But I also get what Nick's saying as far as, why.
But NXT can be its own thing. You don't need to call up anybody. NXT can just literally have crowds just like Raw and SmackDown. There's a different following, and there's a different fan base that you notice between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. You especially see it at takeover shows. The fans are more rowdier because this gives like a bit of an alternative edge for the WWE, which is something they have been missing since the Attitude. Okay, actually not the Attitude Era. They've been missing since the Ruthless Aggression Era. Like, they need the attitude cutting approach, and that's what NXT brings.
Yeah. But
Raw is just going to be an
The,
afterthought
the worst thing
because
that
I don't know
happened
what
in
the USA
NXT,
is going to do with them anymore.
the worst thing that happened in
SmackDown
NXT
is
was
trying.
going to USA and getting on Vince's radar. That was the
For
worst thing that
sure,
happened to it.
that it's sharply declined since then. But I think generally, like, I realized this like I don't know, a year ago, maybe a little more, probably around the time like it really just hit me that like they're not ever going to do a good job with NXT call ups. Um, that like
I think the
part
only
of wrestling's
decent call-up
excitement,
is
unless you have like a wrestler or a group of wrestlers that you're really 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 behind, which so I think of like Daniel Bryan's good runs, Kofi Kingston, when he was on his run to win the title a couple times with AJ. Like there's definitely been times in the last few years that I've felt that way, and I don't care what's coming up next. But a big part of at least WWE is like, okay, like we're gonna what cool new thing is going to come next. And if I'm not enamored with who's currently in the mix, and like I like Drew McIntyre, I like Bobby Lashley, I like Roman Reigns, but like they're not, I'm not invested in them the same way I was as some of those other guys that I
Right.
mentioned. So like if that's the case, which it is for me and a lot of people, and are probably the type of wrestling fans that we are, then you're like, okay, well, maybe, oh, how awesome would it be if they called up the Undisputed Era and they took out, Roman Reigns and the Usos, and they had this big thing. Like, you fantasy like book all of these
Undisputed
things that
Era.
you think,
What's
and then
that?
now like that's dead. Like I don't want that. Now it's like, oh man, I can't wait to see like Adam Cole lose to Jeff Hardy or Rey Mysterio like
In 3 minutes
3 months
on
after his
SmackDown.
call up. Yeah, like that's so to me it's just really stunted among like several other things my interest in WWE. And it's AEW is still new, and like it could eventually get that way with AEW as well. But it's not right now partially because it's new, but also partially because there are a lot of more people. They do a better job of building people up, and they have to because they started with like essentially nothing. So if you're not building people up, you just have nothing.
Right.
They had like the elite, and that was it. And even then, to most people, that they were still pretty much nothing.
You're
from
right.
the average wrestler.
It's interesting, this is kind of a sidebar here, but it's interesting. When you talk to people that are kind of not in the BTE bubble about AEW, when you hear them say who their favorite wrestlers are compared to who like the people in like this bubble that we're
The
kind of
all-in
in.
people.
Yeah, the all in people, there's still no bigger star in the world than Kenny Omega. He's still, he is the best wrestler in the world and probably will be forever. Whereas if you talk to like, I talk to people at Squirt Circle Expo, then they're all like, repping the shirt, but like, what do you think about AEW? Like, oh, Darby Allin, like that's who they talk about. They talk about, and again, this will be what gets me canceled. Not saying incest. They talk about Cody. They talk about the Rhodes family and getting to see that. They talk about Moxley. Like the Omega and the Young Bucks are kind of like outside the bubble, the second class citizens almost. That may be too harsh way of putting it, but it's like, it's kind of it's just an interesting contrast from when you get out of the Twitter bubble, who's actually like the buzz for AEW. And it'd be interesting. I'd like to see like outside of like this bubble, what the buzz is for NXT. Kind of in that same, taking it back to the original point. Like, I wonder what kind of, like, I want to say the casual fans, because you wouldn't be going to a wrestling convention if you were a casual wrestling fan, but maybe like somebody who just doesn't live in the bubble would be a better way of putting it.
Are we all good? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if anybody has anything else they want to add, let's hear it, because now we're.
Oh, actually, I guess. Wait, what are your thoughts if they split up Karrion and Scarlett?
I mean, I'm going to be disappointed because I really like that act, but it's also one of those. It's like, well, if they split up, if Scarlett's gonna get like a singles run, and
Why not
Like,
just give her a singles run right now on NXT? Like, imagine, like, hey, Karrion's NXT champion. It's like maybe Scarlett should become NXT Women's Champion.
I'm not saying that like it's what I want to see, but it's kind of one of those. It's like, well, there's some potential, especially if they're splitting. If Karrion, God forbid, goes to the main roster and they want to keep Scarlett on NXT, maybe it would be better to leave Scarlett on NXT to do stuff in their women's division than to just follow Karrion to Raw. You get what I'm saying?
I guess, but I don't know. I always like just like the pair it's just perfect. It just looks perfect. But just as a side note, I just wanted to look this up to actually see how they did. But apparently the AEW ratings from last week, they actually went up after they went completely crap 2 weeks ago. From a great show with a bad rating, now we had great ratings.
A bad show with a
bad show. Yeah, so we got 552K from last week. It's like
it's
nice.
still not AEW at the numbers that we kind of want to see them at, but
let's hope Saturday Night Dynamite.
Yeah, that'll be Saturday night, and then going back to their regular spot will kind of be the sign.
There's
you know
no
what
competition for Saturday. Like everything's honestly gonna be good, unless they have to battle with the NBA ratings. But anyways,
all right. So
nextly,
releases. Now,
actually, before this, it's hiring creative. I'm going to make this very quick because I know it's been pretty long. So there was a WWE writer that went on the Exposed Turnbuckle podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why if you're hiring someone, please look at their resume. And if they have no knowledge about what they're getting into, don't fucking hire them. Here is a quote from Kenneth Mobley, I hope I want to say. So she said, I have just been hired by WWE. They did not require me to know anything about wrestling. I am on the Raw team. So there's Raw and SmackDown, and the people that are on are Bobby. His name is either Bobby Ashley or Bobby Lashley. Scary note number 1. And I really should know that. He's like this giant black guy, and he and the people who are part of his crew, I know that they call, or at least as of last year, they called themselves the Hurt Business.
Bobby,
yes. The Hurt Business. They wear suits, and they're like, we're cool. Okay, it seems like it's tradition on the show that all the time we bash on creative, and this quote is exactly why.
You want to know why? Like none of this. To me, this is just like okay, like that doesn't surprise me.
I know.
There was an interview with Steve Corino several years ago where he talked about like trying to get a job as a writer, and he like puts his like format out for the show, and the woman there like snarkily says to him, "This is garbage." You know why? There's too much wrestling on this. And like he says, like, aren't we a wrestling company? And she goes, absolutely not. We are an entertainment company. So when I hear that story, it's just like, of course this is true. You know, Vince doesn't like wrestling. He doesn't want to be seen as wrestling. Remember before he took that giant gulp of water and be on the mat? We make movies. We're an entertainment company. We are not wrestling. Like that's what he said for years, and of course he'd hire somebody who doesn't know about wrestling because he, you know.
But that's basically, this is, and I cannot believe I'm going to be mentioning this. This is just like Days of Thunder. Cole Trickle, you know, he wants to join NASCAR, and he's coming from IndyCar, but he says like, I don't know like what you're talking about because I don't know nothing about the cars. You say that today, you won't even have a job anywhere near motor racing if you have no idea what you're doing. Like, you need knowledge about this stuff so you can actually work. And yes, I get it. WWE, they're trying to cater more with the entertainment aspect. But you're still a wrestling company. Do you want to change your Wikipedia and say, oh, we're not wrestling anymore, we're sports entertainment, and these people, they just happen to fight? Look, if you want to go into the movie business, go into the movie business because, yeah, the WWE certainly has a great record of great acting in those movies. But
Hey,
You
12.
are wrestling.
The chaperone, man. That's
No,
some
no, 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 no,
Oscar-worthy
no, no,
shit
no.
right
The
there,
only
baby.
the only WWE films that I actually kind of enjoyed was The Condemned and 12 Rounds. That's it. Anyways, you're a wrestling company.
See no evil.
It's
See no
like
evil, yeah.
I'm not a horror film fan. It's like me saying like, hey, because I'm a huge IndyCar fan, I think I should race in the Indy 500 because I know a lot about the cars. Have I ever driven an IndyCar? No, but it's worth a shot. And let me tell you, I've been on a simulator when I was in Vancouver. There's literally a simulator at the BC Sports Hall of Fame where you can drive Greg Moore's car in a simulated Indy 500, and taking those turns is literally difficult as hell because especially how the banking is at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Like, if you go way too high, you're going to spin out. You go way too low, you're going to spit out.
Yeah.
You need a balance. So why this relates to what I'm ranting here is you need a balance of sports and entertainment, not one over the other, because then you're one-siding this and you're also, pissing off the fan base that have been trying to support you guys for over 30 plus years.
Or they can.
You
I
want
mean,
to
like, and
cater to
again,
the new
like I
generation?
agree. I agree with everything you just said, but I'm also gonna say like what somebody else I know just says. They made record profits. They're a $1 billion company. The stockholders don't give a shit about you, and they don't give a shit about your opinion. They're making money, and
Aren't they also losing a lot of money?
they just released a bunch of people to make some money, and that's my segue here because we got to talk about this. So here is the so far updated list of the releases.
This seems like a weekly thing. It's like, hey, someone got it released again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know about this until I just confirmed that I was going to be on this call. So these are going to be pretty new to me.
Yep, and I'm
live
trying...
reactions.
All right,
and it was trending on Twitter.
Yeah, so we have here, and there's no like really like, holy shit, that guy. So they're kind of. I don't want to say like I'm happy they got released because I'm not, but it's kind of one of those like, okay, like nobody really. There's one person I'm disappointed for, and I'll get into that, but. Aria Davari, Tony Nese, Fandango, Ever Rise, August Gray, Tyler Breeze, Singh Brothers, Arturo Ross,
Okay, the Bollywood boys.
Marina Shafir, Killian Dane, and Kurt Stallion. And yeah, that's just kind of it.
There's some names that kind of surprise me.
I mean,
Killian Dane.
Yeah, or that we just got in the chat. They said that Killian Dane was released, so I'm gonna go off.
That one surprises me. It's like, wait, I thought they were doing a thing with Killian and Drake Maverick, and now it's like, now he's gone.
What a weird flip there. What? Now Drake Maverick's there and Killian Dane's not.
No, the Fandango Tyler Breeze, like, I get like not a lot of people like they like them, obviously, but it's like, well, you bring it back to NXT and then they haven't done batshit anything. It's like
they won the titles.
It's a mixture of not surprised but also not surprised that it happens. But again, like these are still just local human beings that like sadly they don't have a job anymore. And it's like, there may be some potential with some of these guys. Some of them either going to the NWA, Impact, maybe AEW.
I want to. I will point this out.
I'm not going to say all of them to AEW.
I'm going to say this about all these names. I have no other than just because of a local bias. Because as Nick can attest to this, Kurt Stallion came down to the St. Louis area quite a bit when he was on the independents for St. Louis Anarchy, Glory Pro Wrestling. So
he was a Glory Pro champ for forever.
Glory Pro,
and badass matches every single
month. So he was like, so other than just like the personal bias there of fuck yeah, put him in AEW, let him tear the house down because we know who he was before he was in the WWE. Other than that, which also same kind of situation with Warhorse, who got a match over the summer, but anyway, I want none of them in AEW right away. Like, not as knock on their town, but it's just like where are you going to fit these guys in? Where are you going to fit Aria Davari in? Where are you going to fit Tony Nese in? Where are you going to fit Fandango and Tyler Breeze in? You can't. So don't sign them.
Well, this is a problem now. This is like the pandemic definitely accelerated this, but I think it happened maybe during the pandemic, but the writing was on the wall anyway with Evolve going out of business and getting bought out by WWE. Like, they're gonna have to like restructure a lot of these people. I'm not saying this on a talent base. I'm just saying this on a numbers basis. WWE should never have had this many people signed in the first place. And I'm not happy that they got released, and I'm not mad that they were signed. Like, that's awesome. It's good for wrestling to have places for people to make money, makes more people want to be wrestlers, and like it's good for wrestling fans. But like now that they're cutting all these people because either AEW is pretty filled up, so they're confident that unless it's a big giant star, it's not going to tip the numbers, and AEW doesn't have to worry about getting named talent anymore. It really sucks for them, and I think it's crap. It's a crappy thing that WWE has done, which they've done throughout history, which is just killing territories, and they've effectively done that with like the indie scene now. Like the indie scene right now, and I'm not saying there aren't great nationally known independent talents, and every little like local scene has some people that could break out if they wanted to or if they had the right exposure. There's great wrestlers everywhere, but like this is just like now the AEW is pretty filled up, and Impact and Ring of Honor too. Like a lot of these places have enough wrestlers already. Like there's this glut of people who have national exposure and it basically means nothing now. Because of how many people they've signed.
Yeah, unfortunately.
They've just kind of sucked that whole scene dry. Like what really? So I guess GCW is now in the place of where Evolve
and GCW and Evolve are like not an apple.
No, Evolve was infinitely better than GCW. I don't, I'm interested in the Zack Ryder thing, Matt Cardona, but outside of that, GCW is more like it's closer to a CZW than a Ring of Honor, whereas Evolve is closer to Ring of Honor.
Evolve essentially
Glory Days Ring of Honor.
Yeah, Evolve was essentially like what Ring of Honor was and what made me like Ring of Honor, but then when ROH decided to put all their eggs in the basket of a dumbass redneck atheist with a tennis racket, and instead of actually listening to their fan base, everybody went to Evolve.
And Evolve was awesome, and that's gone. And GCW seems more like the farm to market for AEW than it does WWE. And WWE doesn't really need one. I think that NXT becoming like the national PWG, which is as far as like this is the showcase for all the best independent talent in the world, is going to ultimately negatively impact indie wrestling a great deal in the long run whenever they are tired of playing with NXT, which as far as in some ways they are, in some ways they aren't already, but I think that it's just really disheartening for the whole of professional wrestling,
right? And what's funny,
releases and what it's done.
And Nick, what's funny is like everything you just said, I've heard other people say, but only instead of saying it was NXT's fault, they say it's AEW's fault because they're like, oh, the independents were thriving, but then some fucking money mark came in and decided he wanted to throw a bunch of money and start a company, and now fuck all the independents are dried up because now all the guys went to AEW and fuck. So
I mean, they sucked up what was left, and I'm not saying that what was left was bad because some of the guys they have in there are better than almost anyone in NXT that were unsigned. I mean,
right.
You have guys like Jungle Boy, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin. You have like Ethan Page, like a glut of people who were not in any major organization, that were not in Ring of Honor, that were not in New Japan, that now got a space, and we're not in NXT. So yeah, there's merit to that definitely did not help the indie scene. But if WWE didn't hire all of these people to contracts, they wouldn't have had to suck up everybody that was left.
And to be fair, WWE was doing this before AEW was a thought in anyone's head.
Yeah, they were absolutely.
They were just like,
they've been doing this for
you
5,
got some
6
buzz.
years.
Here's a contract. You got some buzz. Here's a contract. Now, like I said, to the independent scene, AEW didn't help matters. Having like this big company, but AEW also still willing And I know of two people off the top of my head that are going to say that I'm being a fucking stan for AEW, but the proof's kind of in the pudding with this one. AEW has been open to working with more people. AEW
I mean,
has
John
been
Moxley just had a confrontation with Nick Gage,
in
and
the the
they've had guys
NWA
in New
World Women's
Japan.
Champion was two of them were very heavily featured in AEW. So while I can't argue the fact that maybe this little, the bubble kind of bursting sort of deal happening with the independent wrestling, I'm not going to say that AEW was helpful all the way for, kind of this bad situation for a lot of these guys. But on the flip side, if you're going to put blame at AEW and you're just not going to put any blame at WWE, that is completely fucking asinine, and you know who you are.
I mean, and WWE did this with England as well.
Yeah.
This is like, and I don't follow that as closely, but I never followed it super closely. But I definitely used to check it out a lot more, but and they just kind of did the same thing where they signed them all to like NXT UK, and I know they still do other things, but like you don't hear the hype from that scene as much as you used to.
Compare
usually like Progress and
Rev Pro.
the Rev Pro and before the Walk Culture one went out of business, like they were like banger matches like every weekend in the UK, and even before the pandemic that had died down significantly. The indie hype had died down significantly.
The speaking out movement, I think, was the final nail in the coffin of the UK indie scene. Like, as far as it being like, that golden age of it, like it getting exposed for like how completely shitty and shady it was just like, fuck.
And I mean, you're two top, and I know you don't like Ospreay, but like the two really the biggest names in the UK's, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't, follow that scene super closely, but like the two names I always was interested in seeing were Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay, who are pretty well like full time
New Japan.
Martin Kirby was actually pretty cool on WCPW.
My favorite in WCPW got exposed, and I don't like him anymore. So,
Oh, hey, also, I basically had to look this up, but majority of those people that got released today, guess which brand they were from that is probably going to die now? 205 Live.
Oh, yeah. Tony Nese.
I said it before, and I'll say it again. Who the fuck watches 205 Live? It's a shame, but I'm really not going to miss it.
Well,
I remember this. So you said, you had that bias for Curt Stallion. So do I. I don't really call it bias either. Like, we have a bias because we watched him, but Curt Stallion's really, really good. A great wrestler and all around. But I remember like seeing that he had signed with WWE, and I was just like, oh man, like, there's not, even then I was like, I don't know if there's space. And I was trying to like make myself happy for him because I followed his like indie page on Facebook, and like, like I had kept up with him when he was, wrestling locally and stuff. And he had posted on there, like and then he was in the cruiserweight division and he was fighting for the cruiserweight championship. And I was just like, and I was happy for him. He got to wrestle in WWE, and, he's still wrestling for a championship in WWE. Even if it's in the worst of times, it's still awesome for the wrestler, I'm sure. But I was just like I can't see this ending well, which sucks because he's really, really good. And, hopefully with a lot of these guys being released, and maybe in a couple years, they're going to be injected back into the independent scene. And some of these guys can really, help to reestablish it and get it back to where it was. But, just this whole, since Vince McMahon Jr. took over, this whole idea of just killing everything that's not your company. And I wasn't, we weren't around for when this happened to the territories, but like, this is the closest thing to it. And, I see why people now like talk about that as like the worst thing to ever happen to wrestling.
It's kind of, we're going to mention a comment here in the chat, Michelle said, she doesn't follow the independents. Great to see people like that. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is like through WWE just picking everybody up through AEW also, to an extent, picking everybody up. Yeah, they're giving everybody exposure, but then what happens when the both rosters get so bloated, and because they've essentially pick, evolves, and with a pandemic, now we don't have Evolve Pro Wrestling, so there's one big indie that's gone. I think CZW's pretty well like scaled back significantly, so it's gone. Chikara, I mean, there was a lot with
Chikara's
the speaking.
gone, yeah.
I mean, the speaking
So
out
this is
movement's what put
basically
Chikara
like
down,
EA.
but like all these quote unquote big indies that had like were kind of like the prime spot for exposure are gone
The
now.
places you would be pumped to go watch on WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, all those places
Those
are
shows.
they're out of there now. And now what's going to happen if, AEW has to release people? Where are they going to go? Well, they can't go to Evolve and reignite their career like Drew McIntyre did, or they can't, go to King of Trios weekend for Chikara and, get those bookings and make a good living anymore. Now it's just kind of like, well, they gotta hit up all these like independent shows like what I went to last night, and it's not necessarily knocking shows like I went to last night. That's local indies are great, but you're not going to get that kind of exposure to have a career renaissance at Anafight Underground.
And
So
I'm,
this
you know,
is
and I'm hoping that
basically-
these,
this is
like I said,
basically
they'll
like
build up
EA
again.
It's basically like EA buying out all the small developers and then just killing them.
Kind of, yeah.
That's why we got
and,
Yeah.
crappy video
and I
games
don't
these days.
feel that AEW should have like the majority of the blame. They're just kind of
No.
like, they're doing more to try and help. But I also like kind of see that there's like some people who kind of go like, yo. Hence why I don't think any of these guys need to go to AEW, because with an AEW having a bloated roster as well, it's kind of like,
No.
well, what's
You only have so much time to feature
Exactly.
And, that just really speaks to the whole thing, to the fact that you can get someone like a Kurt Stallion sign, and it's like
if someone's
have,
bringing
like,
it a little too close to the
trepidation
mic, he
about
says. I don't know if it's me or
Oh.
who it is, but we're just passing the message along.
So yeah, but like if before this started happening where they just signed everybody, if someone like Kurt Stallion were to get signed, I would have been pumped, because it's like,
Mhm.
they're gonna find a spot for him. And
Yeah.
when NXT, when they started doing that, it's like, oh cool, these guys they're gonna find spots for all these guys, and they did for a long time.
Right.
And this goes back, long time, like CM Punk, and when like that, you used to pluck the guys from the indies and there was all this hype behind it, and now it's just like, and this also goes back to you feature them in NXT and then you don't do anything with them. Like, what does it all matter now?
Mhm.
Like at the end of the day, like, your favorite indie guy is just going to get lost in the shuffle.
Mhm.
And it's just really random. Like they might like do something good with him, but there's no real rhyme or reason to who it is and why.
Like, yeah, that's the downside to all this, and it's
And even if they go to AEW, like Dark, it's like a place for, guys to go, but like if Chris Stallion were to go to AEW and Dark, he's just gonna lose to Ethan Page and Matt. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, so even that, like, that doesn't have their way of bringing in indie people. It doesn't really excite me either.
I feel like at least Dark Elevation probably is going to get scrapped because a lot of people they're going to be focusing with AEW Rampage. So I know
yeah.
There's gonna be
Rampage
3
may help
shows
the
that's
roster
gonna be
bloat, but
pretty
that's like,
nuts, but
I don't really. I mean, it's just I mean, I don't think like to all like the holier than thou people that want to like target AEW. I feel like your ammo's a little misguided,
yeah.
but like
And
the
the only time that I
WWE and
really-
along with like all the other bullshit that happened in 2020, like as fun of a time as it is to see all these guys on an NXT, on an AEW, this, that, and the other, it's kind of scary to think about like, well, what is there anymore if you get released from AEW? It's not like you can just, but the indie scene's thriving right now, so fuck yeah.
I
You
keep
know?
having like this. I keep saying like this image for whatever reason. It seems like a good metaphor. Like you have all these little cups of water that were poured into this giant pitcher, and then you had this other smaller pitcher that more cups of water got poured into, and then these cups didn't get used for so long they got put away, and now you have this big pitcher of water, and you're just dumping it out, and it's just going onto the ground. Like there's no cups for it to go back into. Like that's basically what's happened. So, we can build. Hopefully, we get more cups out of the cupboard in a couple of years and start filling those up again. But it's definitely the roster bloat has really hurt wrestling as a whole.
Wrestling, yeah. And because I mean, if you think about it, was like having all these independents around is basically kind of what started this revolution. As far as like AEW happening, and it's like, well, fuck, you know what I mean? It's like you kind of lost the, not necessarily because of AEW, but like you've just lost what made that all special. But hopefully we'll be able to recover, and hopefully the wrestling scene will thrive. And I think that's a good ending point for the show this week. Unfortunately, we found more to talk about off topic than what would have been had there been, an exciting episode of Dynamite. Go figure on that one. So thank you all for attending. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of pro wrestling, but from the world of comic books, gaming, anime, and all things geek culture. Definitely check out the Geeking Out podcast from this week. Artist AJ Moore was my guest. Phenomenal guy. Check out his artwork. He does wrestling artwork. Get a commission from him. And just listen to the interview because he's just an awesome dude. And yeah, one of my favorite things I've done on this channel was getting to talk to him. And follow me on social media, facebook.com/athleticgeekA9, Twitter athletic_geekA9, Instagram athleticgeekA9. And if you'd like to help improve this channel financially, I am on Patreon, patreon.com/athleticgeekA9. Nick, do you have public social media anymore?
Not really. But
Not
I'd
really.
just like to say this. If we want to regrow things, go to your local indie that you've never heard of. Go watch those shows. We can't build new, big, nationally known indies if people don't go to the ones people don't know about right now. So as things are opening up more and more, go to your local independent shows.
Support local wrestling. Support
your local, the real independent wrestling. Sometimes it's awesome. Sometimes it really sucks. This is where people are applying their trade and learning, and this is where the wheat gets separated from the chaff. But when you get those good ones, it makes you love it even more. If you find the good wrestlers that you follow from when you watch them wrestle in front of 15 people, and then someday they wrestle in WrestleMania, like it makes watching the really crappy matches worth it.
Like what me and Nick got to see with Chuck Taylor and Ricochet.
Yeah, local guys. And
yeah. So both those guys. And Easy, I know you got social media.
Yep. Follow me at Eric Zarens, but again, I go by Easy when it comes to the wrestling stuff. And if you're in the Washington, D.C. area for the 4th of July, come connect with me. I'm actually going to be there myself, doing a little 4th of July weekend getaway for myself for once to act like an American. Obnoxious, rude, and thinking everybody is above me or below me. You know what I mean? It's almost midnight here. But anyways, no, I'll just be in the Washington, D.C. area, just watching the awesome fireworks at National Mall, but also checking out my Dodgers kicking ass against Washington.
All right. So definitely hit them all up on social media. Support local wrestling. Thank you for supporting the channel. For
Texas All-Star Wrestling. That's my one. That's the one I've been to since I moved to Texas. Texas All-Star Wrestling.
Stride Pro Wrestling. WrestleMax
STL. BC Dub.
What's in Cleveland? It's AIW still around?
Oh, actually, yes. AI Dub, Absolute Insane Wrestling.
Yep.
I get their emails. I just haven't seen a show yet because I literally have not had any time.
Check that all out if you're in the area.
Also,
or if you see a stream of it, check out the stream.
I'll check it out.
For EC and OG Nick, I am the Athletic Geek. We're just marks and we're out. Have a good one.
Good night. I think that was an hour and 15.